Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having a great day to start things off. Bakkt, launched by the New York Stock Exchange parent company ICE, or the Intercontinental Exchange, is back in the crypto news. The CEO of Bakkt, named Kelly Loeffler, said that they will be servicing institutions with infrastructure for cryptocurrencies as their first step. Loeffler said that ever since ICE announced the launch of Bakkt, they have come to realize the flaws in the market state for Bitcoin and other virtual currencies. In her opinion, markets evolve over time to establish a certain value, act as a facilitator for commerce, and instill confidence in forming prices. The CEO said that Bakkt was formed on this foundation. Furthermore, Kelly highlighted that Bakkt will be working on addressing the unique requirements of her clients, shareholders, and also regulated institutions. She said, "Our goal is to make digital assets more liquid, trusted, and accessible, allowing meaningful innovation to flow," end quote. Moreover, Kelly discussed how Bakkt's approach was different in comparison to other platforms who were trying to achieve the same thing. She spoke on 3 points, namely new products on existing infrastructure, new security standards, and new access to markets and information. On the topic of new products on existing infrastructure, the CEO stated it would be a difficult task to launch a new product which is based on a new emerging technology. She further added that the company believes in the need for closing a gap between the frameworks for mainstream assets and digital assets. In order to achieve this, Kelly said that Bakkt will be using the available futures market infrastructure, which is time-tested and regulated, to create a physically delivered Bitcoin, BTC, and warehousing to global markets. She said, "This includes consistent standards for compliance with anti-money laundering and know your customer rules, market surveillance, and reporting standards at the federal regulation level, subject to final review and approval by the US CFTC. The CEO said that Bitcoin futures contract will be paired with fiat currencies such as the US dollar, the British pound, and the euro. According to her, the delivery of the physical Bitcoin futures adds to the utility of Bitcoin." While speaking at New Security, Kelly revealed that the foundation's warehouse design incorporates a high level of physical, technological, and informational security. So basically what is more interesting here is that I told you guys before about the entire Bitcoin futures, dragging down the market simply because people thought that the Bitcoin futures that we had that were supposed to, or that were actually launched in 2017, were going to be physical Bitcoin futures. They were not physical Bitcoin futures. They were Bitcoin futures that were pretty much written on paper, quote unquote, if you will, as they were not touching the actual Bitcoin themselves. They were just people swapping pieces of paper back and forth, declaring that they had this Bitcoin, and they were trading back and forth or betting against the price of Bitcoin. With the ICE Bitcoin futures that's coming out, they will be physical, but we did not know that you would be able to buy or trade or sell them in British pounds or euros. That is something completely new, which means that it opens up the market a lot further, as opposed to just allowing people within the United States to be able to do this as well. I assume typically when we don't hear that the Canadian dollar is being used, or that it is an acceptable thing. I've heard many times before that even if you are in Canada, I'm pretty sure you are allowed to touch American, if you will, investment vehicles. I think it's not much of an issue for them to be able to trade into USD or whatever the case might be. The point is, this is incredibly interesting. The entire discussion over being able to make the cryptocurrency market more liquid as well. As of now, we've only heard the constant chatter around Bitcoin. I won't speculate on what other coins they're probably going to be using, especially if they actually plan on creating their own. First of all, this is like the payment thing, what have you, the news that we had before, that they would be able to integrate with Starbucks and every other institution around the world who decided to enable cryptocurrency payments, that they would be able to accept the cryptocurrencies through the Bakkt platform. But when it comes down to their actual exchange that they're launching for cryptocurrencies, I am going to go out on a limb and say that they probably are more intelligent, and they probably won't just offer Bitcoin as the only coin that they're going to have for trading. Like I said, I won't speculate on what they will have. I'm not gonna even try and speculate. I was gonna say some names, but I'll just kind of just leave it as where it is. As of now, this is still expected. I'm glad that they continue to give us news about this, because typically when we've heard about other major institutions who are trying to get into the space, we stop hearing about them for months at a time. There's almost no news, and the fact that they're constantly in the news at least once or twice a week to tell us about this is very good. Very good to show that they're still sticking with it. But I assume rather this is supposed to launch in November, and I assume as we get closer that we're going to finally have a proper information as to exactly what coins are going to be listed on their exchange. And Bitcoin, what have you. But whatever they announce is actually going to be on their platform and going to be allowed to be traded back and forth pretty much around the entire world, is going to probably experience a very, very, very huge price increase. And I assume, hopefully, maybe we should have that news sometime around October, as this once again is expected to launch in November. That's just kind of how I feel about the timeline or time frame anyway. Next up, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, or the MAS, the city-state's de facto central bank, believes that no tokens it has seen need to be regulated under its securities laws. During a fireside chat at CoinDesk's Consensus Singapore 2018 conference on Wednesday, Damien Pang, who is the head of the MAS Technology Infrastructure Office for FinTech and Innovation, opened up to the audience about a guide to digital token offerings, a framework it published in 2017 that was meant to provide clarity to crypto entrepreneurs. Pang said, emphasizing a reason for the difference in his statements and those by regulators internationally is that every jurisdiction has their own set of criteria of judging what is or isn't a security. As such, he said regulators like the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, which has also been vocal on the subject but has yet to offer a framework, can be expected to come to a different conclusion. The 13-page MAS publication divided tokens into 3 categories: utility tokens, payment tokens, and security tokens. Pang went on to state for the first time that he believes the categorization of the digital token applied by MAS could change over time depending on their current and future characteristics. He said, the MAS takes a close look at the characteristics of the tokens in the past, at the present, and in the future, instead of just the technology built on, end quote. He said the MAS does not intend to regulate utility tokens that are used to access certain services, but a payment service bill is expected to be enacted by the end of the year to apply to payment tokens, which have storage and payment value, end quote. Should the characteristics of any of the utility or payment tokens become more aligned with features of security offerings, such as promising future earnings, Pang reiterated that Singapore will regulate these assets. So this is incredibly different than what we've seen for just about every other country. First of all, Singapore, for those who do not know, is incredibly rich. And I think this is why they have decided to take a different stance on it, simply because you scare people away when you tell them that you have authority over something that they created, that you didn't, if that kind of makes a lot of sense. When it comes down to it, the entire utility token thing is very important, especially for payment. Down to their core, all cryptocurrencies are payment. You can use them for payments, to pay other people, to pay for items, to pay for goods. And the fact that the discussion of securities has come up at all, this is what kind of caught a lot of people off guard in 2017, and why another reason why potentially the market could have fallen at the end of 2017, early 2018, that time frame that we've already seen. Simply because when the government steps in and they say that something is a security, this means that the government, not that they have jurisdiction over it, but they kind of have jurisdiction over it. They are able to then say what can and cannot be done and who can be done with this. And, you have the benefit of being able to be traded on the stock market if you are a security, as you are then a part of that company. You then own a part of that company if you are holding their token, and therefore you are holding a security in that company. But the moment you let go a little bit and just let it be that they are mainly payment tokens and utility tokens, i.e. you need the token in order for something on their actual network and or whatever to be able to function. Very clear distinctions. I think the U.S., I've said this before many times in the past, this is just how I feel about it. Me, my own personal opinion, the U.S. has gone about this completely in the wrong way. I think they are more, the U.S. is taking a more I'm scared of this approach, as opposed to, hey, let's see what happens for around 2 or 3 years, and then let's lightly try to regulate it. I think the U.S. is trying so hard to be able to control, even, the entire back thing aside, like there's a reason why the United States or the New York Stock Exchange decided to come forward with this information that they were going to create this thing so that it gives legitimacy to the rest of the cryptocurrency space for the rest of the world, if that makes a lot of sense. As of now, this is another country that's actually come forward. If you may have noticed, a lot of countries have been coming forward the last couple of days, not even weeks, talking about what they consider to be securities, how they are dealing with ICOs, and what is happening to cryptocurrencies within their countries. I think, me personally, that we're getting to the point where we're finally, hopefully, going to get some type of regulatory something from the United States. I don't think it's random that all these countries are now coming forward towards the end of the year, talking about what they have seen with the cryptocurrencies. It's been happening like every day or every other day now that another country has been coming forward talking about this. I think when we finally have clarity or finalized information from South Korea, I think that'll be the start of the beginning of a potential bull run, simply because South Korea and Japan, they controlled crypto before, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do it again. For some reason, a lot of people in Europe and in the States are just not as into crypto as they probably should be. Maybe they just don't see the long-term prospects, but people in Asia definitely do. So whenever the South Korean government finally gives the people in South Korea some type of final framework, and in Japan was very happy and go lucky when it came to cryptocurrencies. I think 2 or 3 exchanges got hacked earlier this year, and now they have completely locked everything down. They have a huge problem with everything. They want to make sure that everything is completely compliant, and they know what's happening with this. And they've also issued a couple of, not subpoenas, but it's like they're a lot more difficult than they were before. When these two countries finally give us their framework, and people in their countries know exactly how they're going to be taxed and how they're going to be able to deal with cryptocurrencies, I think the market will be able to completely take off again. And we're probably going to have another situation like we had before a couple of days ago. Remember, I was reading the article about the South Korean government. They were saying how they're afraid of giving proper regulations because they're afraid of something called like the kimchi premium, which is pretty much where prices are like 25% higher in South Korea, simply because of how hot the market constantly gets and how much people are into cryptocurrencies there. It's a very good job for not only Singapore, but a Singapore central banker saying that he believes that no crypto tokens are securities. That is a major move forward. Kind of the same thing that's happening a little bit in Switzerland as well. Switzerland's taking a very laissez-faire attitude, if you will, like let it happen, let it go. And should something detrimental happen over the next coming years, we won't have to step on the neck of every single cryptocurrency company. Just the bad egg, they'll be able to pull them out. But as of now, this is kind of how things are. So very, very nice to hear some good news coming out of Singapore. Next up, proponents of Litecoin, the 7th largest cryptocurrency, have long touted it as silver to Bitcoin's gold, the medium of exchange to Bitcoin's store of value. Much like physical silver, though, Litecoin currently trades well below its all-time high, having plunged to about $55 from a peak of around $358. However, according to cryptocurrency hedge fund Multicoin Capital, even at the mark, Litecoin is still significantly overvalued. Multicoin, which is short LTC, lays out its bear course for an asset in a new report authored by managing partner Tushar Jain. The Texas-based firm Via Jain argues that Litecoin faces a variety of negative catalysts with no bull case to offset them. First, Jain alleges that Litecoin's 2017 bull run came predominantly as a result of naivete, being naive, among retail investors and immaturity in the cryptocurrency market. As evidence, he cites that the fact that Litecoin was the least expensive per unit asset on Coinbase, one of the most popular trading platforms among inexperienced crypto buyers, the most likely group to not recognize that you can purchase fractional coins. The coin no longer bears that distinction, though, since Coinbase listed Ethereum Classic in August and has further announced plans to consider listing a variety of other assets, which promises to diminish the impact that a Coinbase listing provides for an individual cryptocurrency. A lot of people were talking about a couple of weeks ago. They thought that the Coinbase premium, if you kind of want to call it that, has diminished simply because Ethereum Classic didn't take off. Ethereum Classic went up by like 12%. I have my own theory as to what's been happening in the market. If you may have noticed, any time that any other coin starts going up, regardless if they're attached to Bitcoin or not, Bitcoin will also start going up. And I feel like that if Bitcoin goes down hard enough, other coins will also go down. So Ethereum Classic, but I mean, I have my own thoughts and feelings on Ethereum Classic. I think that a lot of coins, I'll try and get to it in a couple of seconds. No, sad Charlie Lee. Next, Multicoin argues that the Litecoin Foundation is in a poor financial situation to continue operating effectively, holding only about $322,000 in assets, with 82% of those funds denominated in Litecoin. We had news that there was another, I can't remember the other cryptocurrency project. It wasn't Bitcoin Cash. There's another cryptocurrency project that is not also doing well. I think they have like $500,000 left, and apparently their functioning costs per month, like by the time, if coins haven't risen by December, I think that cryptocurrency project is also like expected to start failing simply because there's no more money inside the coffers. Moreover, the firm says that LTC does not have a unique development roadmap, which helps explain the death of LTC GitHub comments. Okay, that's all written horribly, with the majority of LTC updates being forked from Bitcoin Core. With these factors in mind, Jane, like several other analysts, called founder Charlie Lee's decision to sell his entire LTC stake a red flag, regardless of his stated intentions in doing so. Despite his intentions, a misalignment of incentives now exists that decreases his motivation to continue development and add value to the protocol. This was written by Jane. To better achieve this goal, we would have liked to see him time lock his holdings or use them to further fund Litecoin development, end quote. Finally, Multicoin argues that the Litecoin price will not be able to overcome the significant selling pressure it will likely face in the near future. To wit, the report notes that Bitmain, the most valuable cryptocurrency company, owns over 1 million Litecoin, according to a leaked investor desk. The firm, led by CEO Jihan Wu, has been an outspoken supporter of Bitcoin Cash, which, like Litecoin, aims to become the world's digital cash, or the internet's digital cash. Consequently, Multicoin believes that Bitmain will eventually dump the Litecoin, either to provide Bitcoin Cash with price support or to force Litecoin further into bearish territory. Without reading too much more, I try to be as unbiased as possible, but I'm going to give you my honest opinion on everything. I've mentioned many times before, there's a shift that is happening. When it comes to Litecoin, regardless of what you might think of Litecoin, regardless of what you might think of the real world applications, or even the fact that people use Litecoin as like a test net, if you will, when they're trying to implement or put something on top of the Bitcoin network, one of the major things that has been floating around since the very beginning, since Litecoin first came out, as it was one of like the actual first coins that we have, not even the other 1900 that we have, was that since if you look at and this is pretty much what it comes down to. If you look at the earliest photos, or like the physical photos of like physical Bitcoins, when people were actually making and creating the actual like metal physical Bitcoins, these were always gold. These were always shown as a golden coin with a B on top of them. When Litecoin was created, the thing that was created for it was a silver L. And that was kind of the idea that we had for Litecoin, is that just because based on the color, it has nothing to do with actual, gold and silver in real world. Like, we know that gold and silver are actually used in phones and other electronics. They have actual real world cases. So the argument has always been that Litecoin's value is derived from the fact that everything can be tested on Litecoin and therefore then put on top of Bitcoin's mainnet, what have you. And this is where it gets its value from. But the issue is that over the last couple of years, regardless of what Litecoin is or what was being done on Litecoin before, we have multiple test nets that people also test things on top of Bitcoin's test nets before they put stuff on top of Bitcoin. This is what the Bitcoin Core team also does. They don't always simply rely on Litecoin. I told you as well, over the last couple of months, you may have noticed that certain coins are just not in the news, or they're being, people are shying away from them. Ethereum excluded for this argument. Like I said, you may have noticed it's not even me. When I choose the news, I choose stuff that's relevant as far as the cryptocurrency space. I'm not choosing things simply because I like the name Litecoin. I like the name XRP. I like what Bitcoin sounds like when when it comes out of my mouth. I talk about these things because these are the things that are constantly in the news. This is why I'm surprised sometimes when we have waves in the news, or when we have VeChain, or when we have all these other things, because they're never, ever there. Point is, I feel like myself, this is my opinion, this is not what's actually going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I do not have a crystal ball. I feel like the market is going to shift away very fast from a lot of these things. When I talk about what I think Bakkt is going to do, or rather the New York Stock Exchange and the ICE and also the CBOE and all these other things, I think when these companies and these organizations and these entities are starting to put forth crypto as an actual asset class, a lot of older coins are going to be left behind because these companies and organizations don't see value in them, if that makes a lot of sense. They know that Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Bitcoin has its name. They know that definitely know the team behind Ripple. They have spoken with the SEC, with CFTC. All these people know each other. I've said this many times before, whether you believe it or not, you can Google all this around. They all know each other. Bitcoin is probably going to obviously stay in the game, as is Ripple. There's so much money flowing through Ethereum right now. I don't see a future where Ethereum completely collapses. A lot of the other coins are really 50-50 right now. This is why you have to really put it into focus, and not when you're investing in something, it's not about emotion, it's about actual usability, and it's about how much what actually happened with it in the future. If you are or have, this is why I told you, I can never tell you where to put your money, but if you have your money in a coin that no one is ever talking about, and the last time you heard about this coin was sometime at the beginning of 2017, you wonder why there's no news about it, this coin is probably not going to be dragged into the new crypto 2.0. There are only certain coins that are going to make it. There are only certain coins that have actual real world use and are actually going to be used and are actually being adopted by other companies. This is why when you hear about like Stellar being adopted, that's probably a very good thing because IBM is using it. When you hear about IOTA being, even if it's just their Tangle or their whatever you want to call it, being integrated into about 14 different other companies, that's probably also very good news, at least for the short term. This is once again how I feel about all of this stuff. When it comes down to Litecoin and other things like that, Litecoin has its uses, yes, but so does the Bitcoin testnet. So do many other coins. Like Litecoin isn't this specific coin anymore that you desperately need. We have so many other coins that are not only faster than Litecoin, that they can also mimic exactly what Litecoin is doing. The only thing that Litecoin really had was that it was one of the very first coins. Like I said, this is, I'm not here to step on anyone's toes and make anyone feel bad. It's just, I try to be as honest as possible. This is how I view and I see things. Even when I give news and I talk about news and I make these videos and stuff like that, I'm constantly reading throughout the day. I told you guys before, like crypto is basically my life now. I've jumped into the crypto pool and there's no like raft. I'm like drowning in it more or less. And you may have noticed, I told you guys a couple days ago I was going to try and take a rest, and like I can't. It's just like crypto is like all I think about. It's all me and my friends talk about. When I am so deep in this world and I realize certain trends, and you realize certain people in Bloomberg or Fortune or CNBC or CNN, when all of these, when they have things on their website, when they talk about certain coins, when they talk about who they're, what the new trends are, what the new this is, or what companies integrating with this, they only talk about very few coins. They're not talking about at least 30 different other coins. Not to say that 30 other coins won't be making it into the future, but there's a reason why Bitcoin is constantly touted as this number one thing, why the New York Stock Exchange said that they want it to be, or they believe that it could be the world currency, or the people talking about Bitcoin being the currency of the future. And the same exact thing when it comes to Litecoin being an actual, what's it called? Like payment method and stuff like that. People are saying that Litecoin's use comes from Litecoin being able to be used as an actual payment method, and that's simply because Bitcoin is too slow. In 2.5 years, when the Lightning Network is fully active on Bitcoin and Bitcoin can process it, even if Bitcoin can't do 1 million transactions per second, and it does even just 60,000 transactions per second, the same as Visa and MasterCard, it's then on par with the other payment methods that we have going around in the world. And if Bitcoin can do 1 million transactions per second, what's then the point of Litecoin being a payment method if Bitcoin can already be a payment method for the entire world? 1 million transactions per second is incredibly large. Like that covers the entire world. That is 60 million transactions per second. And that's not even including if they're able to upgrade it and make it even go even faster, or if we have other coins that are out there that are actually going to be used also on a daily basis. Let's say we have 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other coins that are also as quick as Bitcoin, because we're in the future and everything goes a lot quicker. Who's to say that these coins won't also be used on a daily basis as well? Then like, where does that put Litecoin in all of this? That's not to say, I'm not shunning Litecoin. And a lot of people have disagreed with my saying this before about Charlie Lee. whatever his reasons might have been, people said that he donated his coins. He did not donate his coins. He says this he says this on his own Twitter. He's repeated it many times because people keep tearing him apart for what he did. I think it was a mistake. You cannot create something that could be potentially life-changing and then sell it, especially selling near an all-time high and then start boasting about other coins. I don't know exactly what's going on with Charlie Lee, where he's going to go, what's going to happen with the Litecoin Foundation, what the entire situation is with him. I'm not sure if there are like internal struggles. I don't know. But he, at least from what I've been reading around, he has a lot to do to regain the confidence of the community. Because at the same exact time, if you've been paying attention, since Litecoin first came out, a lot of other coins have also come out. And when you have a situation where people are trying to get into the cryptocurrency space and there's a lot of hype around crypto and people are looking for almost like beacons of hope, like when Bitcoin's price was crashing down, Andreas Antonopoulos was like right there. Brad Garlinghouse was on every single TV show. Vitalik Buterin was at like every single event and stuff like that. And Charlie Lee was like, he told people over the course of like a 6-month period that he had sold his Litecoin to invest in Nano. I think he was talking about Nano. I'm pretty sure it was Nano. And then he also told people to buy Bitcoin before Litecoin. I don't know why he's so sheepish in his attitude. Maybe he's just not like a bull. I don't know exactly what it is. I didn't mean to spend as much time talking about Charlie Lee. But you're going to start noticing a lot more things like this from a lot of other companies. If we hear news, at least from, I'm going to say 3 other companies over the next month and a half, let's say by the time we get to the beginning of November, that's going to be very, very negative towards the sentiment of Litecoin. When you have multiple companies, especially if they have any type of clout or like a big name, especially if we continue to hear, if we hear news from the New York Stock Exchange that they're going to be listing Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, I don't even know, like 2 or 3 other coins. Let's say like EOS and something, whatever, other floating coin, and they don't list Litecoin, that is going to be a major step down for Litecoin. Hopefully they get it together. Litecoin was one of my favorite projects for a very long time. They took this like backdoor approach, if you will. Like they kind of completely stepped back while we had even Tron. Like think of how much effort Justin Sun has been putting into Tron, the people behind Cardano, the people behind EOS, and all we've had from Litecoin is like, we planned on doing this, it didn't work out. We tried to do this, it didn't work out. Oh yeah, I'm buying a bank, and then that was also backlash for that. It's just a lot of, I don't know. It's all very sad. I don't think Litecoin is, I don't think Litecoin as a coin is going to like poof, like disappear tomorrow. But I think the potential strong future, this is just how I personally feel about Litecoin, is probably done for a while, unless Charlie Lee really comes back and announces that he's integrated with like 15 other things, and they have something called like the mini Lightning Network, and it, whatever. I don't know, just kind of how I feel about it. But there's definitely been a shift away from Ethereum. Yeah, that's also true as well. Shift away from Ethereum and Litecoin, simply because so many other coins can do the exact same thing, if not quicker. And it's kind of like you got to pick up. You can't shy away from what you believe in, especially when the market has been going down. That's just whatever. I'm going to completely move on, but that's kind of how I feel about the entire situation. Next up, we move on to Dubai. A senior Dubai law enforcement official has predicted that digital currency will soon usurp and or take over cash. Local news outlet Khalij Times reported on the 16th of September. Speaking during a panel he was heading, Lieutenant General Dahi Khalfan Tamim, deputy chairman of the Dubai Police and head of general security in Dubai, said that hurdles to digital currency becoming mainstream remained in lack of public awareness and insufficient crime prevention tactics. He said faith in digital currencies will always be questioned as long as its source and tracking system remain unknown. Dubai has taken a progressive stance on both cryptocurrency and blockchain regulation in recent years, with the highly publicized blockchain strategy and state-level interests putting the United Arab Emirates considerably ahead of its neighbor in the sector. During the panel, other senior figures echoed Tamim's enthusiasm, arguing that the UAE should release a digital UAE cryptocurrency using blockchain technology. Others are more prudent. Dr. Saeed Al-Daheri, chairman of digital smart services provider Dubai Smart World, calling for regulators to be in place in what was still a turbulent industry. For every one successful digital transaction, there are 5 failed currencies. The Times quoted him as saying, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Dubai also has their own crypto. I don't know if people are really using it, but they've also been, just to be frank, Dubai is incredibly rich. A lot of the UAE is also incredibly rich. And this is once again another instance of a very rich region realizing the benefits of cryptocurrencies and also now announcing that they think that the entire UAE should also have its own cryptocurrency. So many other countries in the world are so far behind. I've never been to Dubai myself. I heard it's a lovely place. And I wouldn't be surprised if over the next 2 or 3 years that we definitely have some type of news that they are either creating their own digital currency or that they're going to be moving away from physical cash, whatever the case might be. It will be kind of, I'm still waiting on that news report that I can report one day about the first country who's going to be accepting Bitcoin as like a full legal payment option. That'll be kind of cool. But as of now, we've had a lot of predictions from a lot of people who've been stating that they definitely think that within the next 2 or 3 years, that Bitcoin will be incredibly mainstream and that you can pay with almost everything with it. And that even a couple years after that, that Bitcoin is going to completely end up replacing cash as we know it. Next up, Mr. Tim Draper is in the news. Bitcoin bull Tim Draper has predicted that the market capitalization of cryptocurrencies will increase by 400 times in the coming 1.5 decades. Equating the current state of the crypto market to the early days of the internet, Draper, however, warned that the prices of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will first have to drop before rising. The billionaire tech investor was addressing a Deal Street Asia sponsored private equity and venture capital summit in Singapore via video link. He said the internet started in the same way. It came in big waves and then it kind of came crashing down. And then the next wave comes concentrated but much bigger. And I suspect the same thing will go on here. According to Deal Street Asia, Draper also stated that the reason why the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies had fallen drastically since the record highs reached last year was due to ignorance. And people got accustomed to them. According to Draper, various billion-dollar industries across the globe stand to be transformed. There will, however, be one big difference between the disruption caused by the internet and the one expected to be brought about by the blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. He said the internet went after industries that were $10 to $100 billion markets. Cryptocurrency will go after $1 trillion markets. These are finance, healthcare and insurance, banking and investment, banking and governments, end quote. So one thing about all of this is that I would love if crypto reached an $80 trillion market. Think of, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but think of how much money that is going to be for people who even put in a couple $100 into the cryptocurrency market. Think of how we barely scratched the surface of, we were almost near $1 trillion sometime at the beginning of this year and also last year. 80 trillion is an 80 times multiplication of where we were before. That is incredibly crazy. I guess 15 years doesn't really sound too out of it. One of the main ideas behind all of this kind of is, how do I really start to explain this? So the idea is that when we first had the internet, everything was kind of brand new and stuff like that we experienced this huge wave up. The prices completely went as high as possible. And then eventually there was like this major dramatic crash. And then when we had the crash, I think my computer's slowing down really. I maybe have too many tabs open another video. Yep, definitely slowing down. Anyway, the point is, here we go. We had a lot of other when the internet first went up and it drove up really high before the year 2000 and then came crashing down, it's been predicted for quite a while that we're going to have the same exact problems in the cryptocurrency space. This is why he said that he thinks that the same thing will happen in crypto, and it will come in big waves and then come crashing back down. What's expected to happen is that as people still believe that we are in the very early stages of cryptocurrency, that the next bull run that we have, all the coins that we have right now, the other 1,900, they will still benefit from the price rise, and we're going to get over $1 trillion. This is not me. This is other opinion. This is from other analysts. This is not to say that this is actually going to happen. The idea is that when we do have this next bull run, it's going to be something absolutely insane. But when we finally reach the very top and everything is going really insane and everyone thinks that the market is going to continue rising forever, that the crypto market will completely crash. And when it does crash, it's going to be the most detrimental crash that we've ever seen in the entire world of cryptocurrencies. And from there, the coins that rise from that will be the ones that rise from the ashes, as it were. This is why, we have a lot of infrastructure and all this other time. A lot of people have thought or suspected that the crypto market right now was allowed to drop back down, because in order to have a healthy market, people think that you need to fall back as low as possible in order to be able to pick yourself back up. If crypto had continued going back up with no real use cases or updates or anything like that we haven't seen in 2018, and prices had continued to go up, people would be terrified right now that the prices would eventually start falling back down. So what we have is the idea is that not only will crypto recover from this last bear market that we've had for the last 9 months, that the recovery will be something astronomical, and that at a certain point, when we realize that it's up to form and function and things that actually have daily use cases, the market's going to crash. This is what they say. And that what comes from it will be the coins that we are probably going to be using forever. So this is where the idea comes from, that the same thing will probably happen in the cryptocurrency space. But I guess the good news as of now is that the coins that you were holding may still go up in value. And therefore, I guess there's a good reason for you to still hold on to them. That's kind of the $80 trillion is just an absolutely insane number. Last up, to finish this all off, Ripple is once again in the news. In a recent interview with CNBC, Ripple's Sagar Sarbahi, head of government and regulatory regulations, APAC and Middle East, discussed the much talked about XRP as a security subject and the SEC. On being asked if ongoing lawsuits in the U.S. alleging that XRP as a security would affect adoption of the cryptocurrency, he said that as far as the U.S. is concerned, the Securities and Exchange Commission will ultimately make the decision regarding the same. He explained that Ripple has been making continuous efforts to engage with the SEC to educate them about the use cases of XRP. Further, the head stated that the company believes XRP is not a security. To back up his statement, he said that there are multiple facts which explain why the company believes so. The first reason being, when a person invests in XRP, he will not receive a stake in the company or will not receive any dividends from Ripple. Secondly, he said Ripple and XRP are two different things, and the XRP ledger was there to stay even if Ripple, the company, ceased to exist tomorrow. He added that given XRP ledger is open source, anybody can use it. Earlier this year, during a discussion at the TechCrunch Disrupt, Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, said that the XRP is fully decentralized and the company only controlled 7% of the public blockchain. Next, Sarbahi went on to explain the situation in other parts of the world, specifically speaking about Thailand. He said that the country has come up with a new asset class called digital assets. The country has decided to allow XRP to be traded among 6 other cryptocurrencies. I definitely spoke about that when that happened a couple of months ago. Thailand, I think they only allowed Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. I want to say Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and I forgot the other one. But a lot of people were very shocked that the fact that Thailand wasn't too friendly with crypto, the fact that they allowed crypto, and then the fact that they came out and said that they would only be allowing 6 coins in the country out of, I think at this point we had 1,600. So people were kind of taken aback, if you will, that they allowed so few coins inside of the country. On similar lines, he said countries like Australia and the Philippines have categorized XRP and other digital assets as a commodity or cryptocurrency. Once again, not a security as we have seen with the United States. The Abu Dhabi Growth Market ADGM has also classified XRP and among cryptocurrencies as commodities. I think my computer's just dying. I don't know exactly what's going on. Yeah. I think my computer might. Okay, I guess I'm going to try and end it here. I have no idea what actually happened. Maybe I must have had too many tabs open. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I apologize for this technical difficulty. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will talk to you all soon. Hopefully.